11:50. I'm not.
You walked right off the deck, right into my hot tub now.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
Where you dropped the ball.
All right, we'd like to call to order our Riverdale City Council meeting for Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Please let the record show that all members of the City Council are present, with the exception of Councilor Arnold, who is excused tonight. We also have members of the city staff with us, and members of UDOT are with us as well. Just kind of the public, I'm not sure what we would say you guys are, but some representatives from UDOT. Yeah, with us. We have asked Mr. Brooks if he will lead us in Pledge of Allegiance.
If you would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I have asked Councilor Hawes if he would offer our invocation tonight.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the opportunity we have to live in this great free country, and we thank Thee for the opportunity we had yesterday to participate in a free and fair election, to elect the leaders that will guide our government. We thank Thee for the hard work that all those elected officials put forward to govern with fidelity and integrity. We ask this day that we will be able to have Thy Spirit to guide us as we make decisions, as we discuss the needs of the city, that we will know the best ways to help our citizens. We ask Thee to bless the military and our public safety officials as they protect us, that they will be protected with Thy safety. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor Hawes. We now have a time for public comment. Anyone that would like to address the council can come up and state their name at the microphone. Seeing none, we will move on to presentations and reports. Under the mayor's report, I have asked UDOT to come and present about the 4400 South Bridge project. We had a meeting with them last week, and at that time, I let them know that the council would like to hear from them. They were updating us, and I said I think it would be appropriate for them to come, and so I appreciate them coming tonight. And so we will just turn some time over to Aubrey. Are you going to go first, or
we'll do it together.
You both come up.
Yeah.
We'll just make sure that microphone's on. If the button is up, that means it's on.
Yeah.
So just so the people online can hear you very well, and
Belly up to the bar with me.
All right.
the time is yours.
Great, thank you. Steve said you guys were going to be easy, kind, nice.
I said the staff would be, not them.
Great. Well, we do want to give you an update. We were here in August before we started the bridge demolition, and certainly the plan has changed from what we presented last. I will say right out of the gate from the public outreach standpoint. So I'm a consultant hired by UDOT to manage the public outreach, and we're about ready to go, and I still really want to do all the updates. I would love a really firm schedule before we reach out to the public again. So we'll address that a little bit later on, but we intend to do all of those efforts that we had planned originally. We will do them when the schedule is sure and we have something to present with confidence. You want to talk about this?
Excuse me.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was a lot of code there. I didn't. What are you talking about?
Perfect. We'll jump into that as we go through. When we started construction back in August 11, and right now we're planning to finish up in summer of 2026. And when we started, we thought we had everything all lined up, and with the 4400 South Bridge, we're like, okay, we're gonna go. We should be all good. And we started the saw cutting for the removal of the bridge. When we found out, hey, there's an FAA permit that you need to go through and apply for, and it's going to take some time. and some delays happened, and so it's just kind of one domino after another just kind of delayed us on that.
So to answer your question, we had originally intended to do an open house. We had it scheduled here at City Hall, and then we canceled that nearly the day of because of these delays where we didn't have answers to the big schedule questions. So where I'm saying I still intend to do all these things, I would like to do them when we have a more sure schedule from the contractor. And we will address what we're doing and what has been held up throughout this presentation. Do you want to move to the next? You're just fine.
Okay, so the work that has been completed to date, we have some asphalt and concrete work at the Cosydale roundabout. There's been some utility relocation work, some new fiber line that's been done, a little bit of asphalt work and curb and gutter there at Parker Drive, 1250 West. The stem concrete is still coming, is forthcoming. And then here's a picture of some of the work that's been done under the I-84 bridges where they're coming and essentially creating a vertical wall in preparation for the new bridges there. And then we'll get into the 4400 South over I-15, some of the delays. Kind of when we started off, we didn't know all the ins and outs of the things we've learned along the ways about the permits that we need to go through and obtain. We have the aeronautical, airway study, a safety risk management, and the nose to airmen. So we met with the airport and we were applying for the nose to airmen, like, oh, well, we need to obtain this aeronautical study, which takes about 45 days. And we're in the process of doing that. We submitted it, and then the federal shut down now. And so it's kind of up in the air of when they're going to be there. That's delaying us for the moment. And then after that, they say there's the safety risk management that we're working with the airport to see what level that all entails and what that all means and the schedule. So I guess what we're saying is for a firm schedule, we don't have a firm schedule. We have an idea and hope of, hey, we should have everything resolved. Our hope is by the beginning of January and we can get out there and start moving forward. We do have scheduled a meeting on November 18th with all the mayors and the senior leadership of UDOT just to update everybody, keep everybody on the same page and let everybody know, how we're progressing and how we're moving forward.
The conversation, we met today with the Ogden Airport manager and assistant manager, and they're very interested in how can we problem solve this? What can we do to help you make this happen? If there were no obstacles, what would you need to do to get started right away? And then working backwards to that. Understanding that there are obstacles. Currently, the FAA permits are non-starters while the government is shut down. And so our schedule of January is if we can open up, if we can get this permit, then getting the contractors, the equipment, the crew, the subcontractors, the specialty items to get moved in. If we had free and clear progress starting today, we can begin in January.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to get, by the way, I think it's poetic justice that one agency like UDOT is having frustrations dealing with another agency like FAA. But anyway, that's a side note. What do you need there? Do you have cranes or something that's a problem?
Yes.
Yes, we need to drive piles in order to put the foundation of the bridge.
So it's a pile driver?
It's a pile driver that needs to be up in the air about 140 feet or so. And just because of the proximity near the airport, we have to obtain approval to do so.
There's a runway where all the students fly in and out. And it's the training runway. And they go days, they go nights, they've got to get there. I've tried to understand it as a driver. to think of your 15-year-old permit driver. They got to get their nighttime hours in. They got to, they've got to practice all day and all night. And so in order to have access to the runway, the cranes can't be in the way. In order to have access to the cranes, The planes can't, they can't conflict. So we've discussed closing that runway in total. And that's the meeting on the 18th will be a discussion of how much does it cost every single day to do that? For how long? If it's a daytime operation, lanes have to be closed on I-15 in order to do the work. If it's a nighttime operation, we're really, really noisy in a pretty residential area. If we can't hoist cranes 145 feet high, but we could do it 62 feet high, what does that do to the integrity of the steel piles that are going down? They're 30 feet long. If we only have a 60-foot crane, then we have to cut them to 10 feet at a time and then weld them back together. And that makes the whole thing go so much slower to cut it apart and to weld it back together. So we're throwing all of the ideas out there and trying to come up with the one that's feasible. And that's where we had discussed having all of the decision makers in one place, and that's November 18th. And we've been doing a lot of background work to have these discussions and to see what's feasible and continue to do so. And, with all of the agencies, with the Ogden Airport, but also with the FAA, with the tower, 7 layers of FAA approval to get some of these things done once they open up. So,
Aubrey,
kind of planning scenarios.
I think Mr.
A
Brooks
through
has
Z.
a.
Oh, they can finish. I'll just jump in here.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah, I'm
Brooks
just-
has a question or a comment when you're done.
Yeah.
No. I was going to make a comment when you're done, but we're fine. Continue on.
I can be done.
No, go ahead and finish. I want to give them a little bit of background on how we were involved in it, just so they know. But
Okay.
you guys go ahead and finish your stuff.
I guess the question I was going to have was, America First has cranes up there, and my understanding is that they had the same issue.
That was the thing I was actually going to address, and this is the thing that's so frustrating. And I'm still going to try and be nice to you guys.
You're totally fine.
We had met a couple of times and discussed these things, and then we were called down and had a big meeting. The contractors and everybody was there. And at that time, we were told, okay, if you let us change some stuff, we want to shorten the time frame, but we need to close that road a little bit longer, but we'll be done faster. And it's going to save you money and all these kind of things. And we, were hesitant. We didn't want to close that road any more than we had to, but we agreed to it because of all the side benefits we had. Right after that, and this is where it's so frustrating to us, and that's all I'm just venting here.
Yeah.
In that same meeting, and it goes right with what Stacy was saying, Sean Douglas, who had just gone through this with America First and that development up there, we knew there were issues if you're going to bring cranes in, but Sean pointed out in that meeting, you guys are going to have to contact people. You're going to need permits for these cranes. And so we had warned everybody. It wasn't like we did everything we could to help people out as a staff. And then they turned around and then started cutting that bridge out. Well, once you start that cut on, you got to finish it. They were stuck at that point, and then realized after the fact that they got to get these permits. And so now we're looking at way longer than we ever thought. And so for us, this has just been a total disaster. We thought we were helping and cooperating, and we're hoping to get concessions and costs and stuff. And this is killing us. You guys have all seen the traffic problems this has caused. You're getting the phone calls. We're getting the phone calls. Now we're starting to get the phone calls about people not coming to Riverdale anymore. The mayor's received numerous letters that they're just saying, we're done. We're not coming anymore. So we don't even know what the long-term effect of this is going to be. And so that's where it's so frustrating to us. And I'm not blaming UDOT. I'm not blaming the contractor. I don't know who did it, quite frankly, but somebody messed up, and it wasn't us. I think we did everything we could possibly do as a staff to warn them what was going on here and try to salvage the city. And we're going to pay for this for a long time. I mean, this may be irreparable. It's so frustrating, but and let alone we'll never save any money, and what we're losing in tax sales, and we will lose during Black Friday. That was the other thing. We were going to try and be done by Black Friday. That's not going to happen. And then we're going to lose Christmas sales and everything else, besides, the permanent loss we take on that. So I just wanted to point out we did everything we could as a staff to cooperate on this deal, and we're paying the price. The city's paying the price for that. So again, I don't want to point fingers. It's just somebody screwed up badly, and and it's just unfortunate. But you know, I don't expect perfection, but this was just such an event that, man, we're going to pay for this for a long time. So it's just, it is what it is. You know, we got to live with it, but hopefully we get a nice product out of it at the end. And I don't know. We'll see what happens, and I hope they can get it fast. I know they've done whatever they can, and they're twisting arms and everything, but now we look at a shutout on the federal level, and how much is that going to slow it down? I mean, this is just a nightmare, and it just keeps happening, you know. It's a domino effect. So, but UDOT's been good to work with. I'm not saying any of that, but man, this is killing us, just absolutely killing us.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, we appreciate the heads up, and we did meet with the airport beforehand. Unfortunately, there was just not communicated all the intricacies of what this all entails, and I guess we just didn't fully understand exactly what we were getting into when we went into it.
We had a meeting with the airport manager, who has since retired and been replaced, and it was not fully communicated to us. We thought it was. We didn't know what we didn't know. When we met with him, he laid out a process for us, and that was delivered to us, and we put it into the spec, and it was not the complete process. And it wasn't until the contractor followed what the instructions that they were given that we realized that it was an absolute no-go. And so we did get the warning, you're going to have to follow the process. And to the extent that we were aware of it and that we had communicated with the airport, we understood that we were. And had marching orders from the very start of the design phase. And here we are.
How are the budget numbers being affected by this? And who's
Project,
gonna,
the construction budget.
And who's gonna step up with the additional, because you know that any delay costs
Yes.
Cost
money.
dollars.
Any delays cost dollars, and right now, UDOT's planning on covering those delays with those dollars of, hey, it's taken us these extra few months that we have in here, and so UDOT is stepping up to take care of those costs.
Someone mentioned if they go to the 10-foot piles, it's going to add $1 million, cutting those and rewelding them before. The costs are stacking up.
Yeah.
And they also told us our savings are gone that we were going to get out of the deal. Councilor Hanson, do you have a question, or was it Councilor Richter?
Yeah, and I'm not going to restate anything Mr. Brooks said. I think he stated it properly. I'm just curious. Is there any coordination with the 5600, Roy 5600 project? Because what really happens, as you know, it shuts down any outlet they have from Riverdale. As the mayor indicated, it's just shut down the city, but it's complicated by the 5600 project. So even though you can maybe get up Riverdale Road, and literally, I get more calls on this from citizens than everything else combined. You can't get out of Riverdale at 20 minutes on some days to get from Main Riverdale Road up to Roy. And there's really no other way to get there. Is there any coordination? And really what it is that you get that bottleneck on 5600. So even when you get up to the top by 1900, you still can't get out.
Both projects are being constructed by Granite Construction, and so there is a lot of internal coordination between Granite staff.
Is there? Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's not the same crews, but it is the same. The guys are reporting up to the top at the same time, so there is coordination. And I'm also. I drive it every day too. I live in Bountiful, but I am working on I-84, a little bit on 56, 1800 North, 2000 West. So I'm here every day trying to get, bizarrely, from Horrocks Engineers right by the Maverick to the Whitaker office by Ogden Airport. So I drive the exact detour every day where that bridge was what was connecting me every single day. So, yeah.
Do you have more slides, or is this?
Yeah, just to show you what is closed, what is open. I mean, this is not new news to you. We worked really hard to get that closure, that temporary closure under the I-84 ramps open on time. We were fully aware that people were waiting for us to, meet a deadline, and we worked real hard to get that one open by October 3rd, as stated. There is some nighttime one-way traffic going on for about 3 more weeks. I just talked to the contractor this afternoon in preparation for this, and we anticipate 3 more weeks of one-ways at night there, but those are the roads that are open.
That green road doesn't exist anymore.
The
Cozy
Cozy-Dale.
Yeah, with the arrow at the end, yeah.
It's changed. The
that's not
alignment's
where it is.
changed. Yeah.
The gray road out there is now connected.
Yeah.
That's what.
Because that's what I take to get to Horrocks, is that not? Up to a certain point, and then,
I guess further up, they're saying it now
Yeah,
connects.
yeah.
The new road
Yeah.
is open.
okay.
Can you give them some dates? The dates you gave us? Or are you hoping for something? I mean,
The tentative January start date,
yeah.
which would then hoping to open a bridge by springtime. Spring is a big range. I understand. And that's when we, reschedule a meet the contractor open house to communicate this to the public. I want to be able to give you a date more firm than spring. The contractor can put together a schedule as detailed as they had from the start when we have a start date.
One
And
other
the
piece
subs
of
lined up.
information that they shared with us, I can't remember what I've shared with you. I've talked to so many people, but because of the runways and the cranes and so much stuff, they've talked about doing work at night. Did I tell you about the 3 weeks? So in our latest meeting, they blessed us with the wonderful news that they're going to be driving piles for 11 hours a night for 3 weeks.
How many piles are being driven?
Hundreds,
know the number.
like 3 weeks worth.
There's
For 11 hours a night from, so what is it? It's from, let's see, 8 to 7.
Yeah.
It
Eight,
can coincide with night flights, and it'll
yeah.
enjoy
No.
all of it at once.
Anyway, in comparison, how many they
Yeah,
did.
yeah. I don't know up to the America First, but I hear people in the terrace complaining to me about the America First ones. So I can only imagine what those Connie Fuller's going
Most
to
immediate,
think.
yeah.
Right there, those people around the school. It's going to be really, really rough on those folks, and so we would love to do it during the day, but I don't know. It's going to depend on the airport and the runway and stuff, but that's going to just get ready for that because it's going to.
Is it 7 days a week operations at the airport?
I believe,
I believe
so.
so.
I believe so.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah. I was asking a lot of very basic questions. I'm just trying to understand how it works. I'm so unfamiliar with that. And so today I had asked, do you know how many planes come and go? Do you had to get a heads up? And I kind of think about it as driving on a road or a toll road. No, but I don't have to tell anyone when I get up and go to the store or, get into a parking lot. I get to go, and the only thing they do is they, collect a fee as it lands. So there's not a real solid way to anticipate, but they said last night they had 50 planes land. So, I was hoping it was like 5, that if it was something that was movable, if it was a low enough number, we could readjust, but 50 a night. They said sometimes it's that high, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. So, I just was trying to wrap my head around what they deal with. And the tower goes dark at 8:00. I understand there's nobody there to man the tower. And so, it has its own set of complications that is just unfamiliar to us, and so we're trusting them to tell us how things operate there.
Will the fact that they're going to now be working on the 4400 bridge over I-15 at the same time that they're going to be working on the bridges for I-84, is that going to complicate things? Because originally, my understanding is the original thing was they were going to keep something open over
Yeah.
I-15 so that, do part of it, then tear the other part down, then do it. And that would all be going on at the same time that the I-84 bridges were being built and then moved in. Now it's all going to be done. Well, then it was going to be, this one was going to be done, so we didn't have to worry about that
Yeah.
as we did the other. But now they're both going to be going on at the same
Yeah.
time.
Are you thinking
again.
about impact to traffic?
Yeah. Overall impact. I mean, when they get ready to put those bridges, the I-84 bridges into place, is the fact that they're also working on the I-15 bridge going to complicate things, or do they think that that's not going to delay the I-84 part?
Because when they slide those I-84 bridges into place, that'll be over a weekend, and so it'll be fully devoted to that weekend of, okay, we remove this bridge, slide this one in Friday so we can open up Monday for the commute, and so as far as impacts that way, the time frame hasn't changed. You still only have the weekend to complete that work.
Now that we're past that 6-week closure of 44 under, the impacts are the same at I-84 from here on out, from the original plan.
The pylons are going to be driven on the area supporting the over I-15, correct? Or is it both I-15 and 84? Both areas are going to get pylons? Oh, okay.
That adds to your tally of how many piles there will be.
I thought it was just for one side on 515, but anyway.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other presentation or comments?
No, we have more slides. Yeah. So this is what I was addressing when we got started, our outreach efforts. I want to reschedule to meet the contractor open house as soon as we have a schedule to share and shore info. We have been sending weekly email updates out as the work has been happening, as there was work happening when we demoed the bridge over I-15, and work currently, ongoing through the next little bit on the I-84, 44 under I-84. We're coming up to an end. And so I don't want the emails to just be abandoned, and that's another story of UDOT just ghosting this whole thing. But we will kind of go into a pause, and so we'll communicate that stay tuned for more. We discussed when we first met, oh gosh, what was that? August, about hosting a business owners workshop. We went out and talked to 100 businesses in the area, and we had it kind of divvied out. I think I've sent the spreadsheet to you of local businesses, our big boxes, our car dealerships, things like that, but 100 businesses overall, offering up a business owners workshop. It's a process that we've done in cities all over, from Park City to Salt Lake City, West Jordan. We've done this workshop in a handful of places. It's officially been adopted by Salt Lake City for all of their projects that happen in the city, to help business owners brainstorm and consider ideas and how they can partner together and swap customer lists and anyway, a variety of tools. We offered this up here, and we heard back from one business, and it was the pawn shop. And so we canceled. Nobody had RSVP'd, so we reached out to the pawn shop and have been in communication with them, but canceled the business owners workshop aside from that. We still do have our website, email, and hotline. Ongoing coordination with you. We've mentioned this, but there's folks from Riverdale who are invited to our weekly construction meetings. And then we had some, initial startup conversations with UTA, emergency services, school district, and things like that for bus routing and neighboring cities. I am working on some projects with Roy, and I talk with them quite often. So this is an ongoing conversation with Roy, and then they've been invited to this meeting on the 18th. I knew this was going to happen, but since Bob's on his way out, he has moved much of his efforts onto city staff. So I noticed that a handful of folks from the staff had been forwarded that email, and I anticipate Matt Andrews and a few other people will be in attendance at that meeting, and I'm sure they'll invite the new mayor to that meeting as well.
Good. All right. Any other questions? All right, thanks for coming in tonight.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed that we can get this done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks. Okay, I told you I had another part for the mayor's report, and that was from the kids' suggestions from the lunch with the mayor yesterday. So I'll just read you some of these things. So what happens is I talked to him, and then the police chief and the fire chief talked to him, and it's fun. We had some Chick-fil-A, and then I do a little exercise at the end and ask them things that they would like to see in the city. And a lot of it's the normal stuff: baseball fields, parks, nature center. One thing I haven't seen before, they said they'd like to see a hospital or a health center, like doctor's offices in the city. I thought that was kind of interesting. Swings at the upper playground, soccer fields. One of them said they like to see no schools in the city. One sharp kid said they'd like to get AC at Riverdale Elementary. I said, now that's something we need. You know what I mean? Like, now we're talking. Because we have a bunch of elementaries. We've got Roosevelt that comes, and Washington Terrace, and Good Foundations. Well, they all have AC, but poor Riverdale doesn't. Community garden, an arts center. Finally, someone yelled out swimming pool, which we always have a good talk about. That we talk about how cities pay for things. It's always an opportunity to say, do your parents want their taxes raised? And they say no. And so we talk about that. And then also the last thing they said is they'd like to see younger people be able to get driver's licenses. So younger than 16. Yeah. That's good job security for our police, right? 16 scary enough. Having a son that is 1 week away from turning 16. 16's plenty young, especially for a boy's brain. I will just tell you that. Okay, that's all I have for the mayor's report. City council assignment reports. Would any of you like to report on the things you're working on? Councilor Richter.
Just a quick thanks to Mr. Taylor and the youth council for the Halloween party. I know a lot of work, especially on your part, and not limited time. So thank you. Appreciate it.
It really was fun. Yes, thank you. I failed to mention that, but we go every year, and the maze was tell them that was stepped up this year, and it was super fun. Love seeing those kids, and so many people there, just packed. So, all right, let's get moving here. And so consent items, since it feels like it's the middle of the night, right? It's dark outside. Number 1, consideration to approve the meeting minutes from the October 21st City Council work session and City Council meeting. That's October 21st, 2025. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? All right. We'll move forward to action items. Number 1, consideration of resolution 2025-34, amending the consolidated fee schedule to include senior center membership fees. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. We were in here a couple weeks ago with a discussion on this idea, and this is the product that we bring before you. It has a resident yearly rate, a non-resident yearly rate, a resident monthly rate, and a non-resident monthly rate. The goal here is to establish a fee, get it on the fee schedule, and evaluate and see how it's going. We're trying to be sensitive to seniors on fixed incomes, also trying to be sensitive to some of the constraints we have with staffing and things. You'll see there's a little tag on that fee schedule. It's the same as the community center fee schedule that's been approved, where we have a once a year sale on the yearly passes only, not the monthly passes, just yearly passes. So I don't know if you guys have any questions.
So that was in there, something about the sale, the yearly sale, or, sorry, that was a question I had, Blake. You will have a sale.
That's what we'd like to do. Obviously, it's up to the council on what they approve, but the wording in there isn't specific on when or how much. It just allows for a sale
Okay.
for a period of 1 month
Okay.
every year is what it allows for on the annual passes. I didn't want to put rates in there of how much and things because we might change that, right? And I don't want to come to the council every single time. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it is listed in there.
Okay, I didn't catch that, so thank you. I'm glad you have that in there because it consolidates your time of selling. Of
right.
The period of time that they have to be doing that. So,
Yeah.
Okay, questions? Let's see. I think Councilor Hanson.
I had a couple questions. One was, although we're approving it tonight for the ordinance to be adopted in November, are you planning on beginning when are you going to start?
I appreciate that question. I failed to address that. We would anticipate starting the first working day in January. So it would be a new year thing. By approving it tonight, it would allow us to notice the people that attend the senior center in advance.
And mainly it's because I was hoping that we could put a little time in with the other cities before we implement it in case we can work out agreements with them to do kind of like we do with the aquatic center, the shared.
Yeah, and that was a really good idea that we plan on approaching those cities. We need to strategize about what angle. Not every city has somebody in my position working with senior centers, so I don't know if it's a better on the city council or the mayor level or how that looks, but we've pulled numbers from cities and we have some data.
Share with them and say.
Yeah, and so that they could understand exactly what we're asking, or potentially what we're asking. I mean, the residents would have to participate in it, right? But it's up to you guys as a council, because having those conversations and having everything set for a January start would be problematic. And so if we wanted to do something like that, we could push back the membership fee effective date, I guess.
Another problem you might run into is their budgets, start in July or whatever. So
Right.
that if they want to do something about that, they might not be able to do it.
So Miranda and I had conversations about this idea specifically, and one of the things that we talked about was just that if we put a fee on the books right now, we start communicating with them right now, it won't be effective for this first go round, but that's when they're in budget talks. And if their budgets take effect July 1, then for the next year coming up, they could be on board with that program. So we did have that talk. Again, it's whatever the council prefers on how to do it. But
My other question was, you have the individual rate. I know it's maybe not as common, but what about if there's a couple? Would there be a discount for a couple rate for membership?
yeah, so we didn't put anything in there. We were looking at handling it as an individual transaction. Mainly, the different price points create complication in doing transactions, and so we were trying to keep it as simple as possible to streamline those transactions. Again, anticipating the staffing that it takes to do it and everything. We just wanted to try to be as simple as possible.
You may run into problems with the couple definition too, like me and my friend are going to.
And we're trying to keep the rates low enough that it's not a constraint to, even if they are paying individually. Again, I guess it depends on what your budget looks like, and what everybody has a different definition of low, but the fees that we put before you, we're trying to keep that in mind.
Councillor Hawes, you had a question?
Yeah, has any of this been presented to the seniors themselves at all?
Definitely nothing formal. It's really not appropriate because until it gets approved, there's really nothing to talk about. But there has been some just discussion about it. And the other thing to remember is that the other facilities in close proximity have a monthly fee. And there are people who participate on a certain day at a certain facility and kind of bounce around. So they have more than one membership as it is already. So this is not a new concept. We're kind of the last ones to the game. We're the last one that doesn't have anything. So we have not talked any kind of dollars amounts with them, but it has been mentioned that we're looking at possibly putting a fee on it. But that's it. That's the extent.
So they're aware of the concept.
I don't know that everybody is, but yes,
but
I would
there
say.
has been
I mean, we talked about it at last
discussion.
council meeting, and that's a public meeting. We're not hiding anything. It's just
I did get one comment
I
back
don't
from
know
a
if-
senior, if
If
you want to know
if
it.
you do it in the council meeting is pretty much hidden.
Well, I had one.
I know it's a public meeting, it's
I
just
had
that
one
nobody
senior
watches.
respond from my email last night, and she's pretty active in our local community, even at the rec center, I think. And she thought it was great, and that because she loves the senior center so much, that she has no problem paying an annual fee, and she thought it was low and reasonable. And I mean, she's one person, and everyone's not going to be in the same circumstances, but I was surprised that she was so positive about it, but because she cares so much to be sure that it's sustainable into the future, that she was willing to pay her part to keep it that way.
I think that's a great point and a great way to message it. Like, if you want the senior center to be viable, like, we're just trying to keep it around. You know, Councilor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you. An observation, then a question. Patronizing the community center or rec center, there's groups of seniors that come there. They play racquetball or you go to the gym or whatever, and it's a network. It's a group, and they have great camaraderie. And occasionally I go over and have lunch at the senior center, and I see a number of the same people over there. Now, that's my observation. By the way, going into the racquetball, especially during the cold winter months, you have to take your little tag and put it before, and it checks you in. And, it's not uncommon to see a guy or person with their bag, with their racket bag, and they'll have 2 or 3 or 4 different tags, and they'll flip through, oh yeah, I'm here. And, because they're signed up at multiple facilities. Anyway, so my question is to you, is this been thought out that, okay, you have a annual fee for the community center or rec center, and you're going to have a separate fee for the senior center, and can you get a group discount? So buy them both, or or are you going to synchronize it so you can get them both at the same time?
So I appreciate you bringing that up. Just informally as staff, we've talked about that idea. You don't see anything on the fee schedule before you because it's not something that we're proposing currently. Part of it is by doing this annual discount on the annual passes. I mean, it's pretty low and it's hard to discount below that. That's part of it. But the other part of it is we're staffed well at the community center to handle those types of things, but we're not staffed well at the senior center to do a more complex transaction like that.
Okay.
Meaning, if we did some kind of discount, it would only be we'd want to either facility could handle it, right? And currently, we're just not comfortable doing it at the senior center just because of staffing concerns. And so we'd be pushing everybody over to the community center, which there are quite a few people that patronize both facilities, but there are some that don't. And I guess they wouldn't want the bundle, but we will be selling these annual and monthly passes at the community center as well. For those people that come, it won't be a bundle, but they can buy it at the front desk because it's the same system that we use.
A follow-up. A couple years ago, I think, maybe longer, I was issued a little tag, and because I try to zap it so that it shows usage and whatnot. Well, it's been misplaced. It's been gone a couple of years, and now that I'm kind of patronizing the senior center from time to time, okay, I admit I'm qualified to be there, and they ask for it, and I'm going, I have no idea. It's I don't know where it is. Do you have a mechanism to replace those? Okay, we'll get an answer offline.
I'll just nod my head.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Councilor Richter.
And these fees are, I think you mentioned at the last meeting, these fees are consistent with what you're seeing at the other senior centers in the area, or?
Yeah, so the other facilities that we're aware of, it's a $5 a month fee, which translates to a $60 a year pass. And so you'll see the ones that we're proposing for the non-residents, that's right in line with that, and the residents would get a discount. And again, this is anticipated to get it on the books, to evaluate it, to look at it, and And just like all of our fees on the consolidated fee schedule, we evaluate them and adjust them as needed. So this is a starting point.
So I guess one option, if we're really serious about going to the other cities, might be to delay it until July. Maybe put it on the books, but it doesn't go into effect. Or I hate to wait.
Or like do a temporary half a year thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just no guarantee.
Do you want this to synchronize for January for both?
So we've found a lot of success at the senior center or the community center doing a January annual sale. Kind of people are making commitments, and and it's worked really, really well for us. It's just skyrocketed our revenues, and we would like to do something like that at the senior center, beginning in January. I kind of feel that some of these relationships with the cities and working this process is going to take a little bit of time, and I hesitate waiting. I mean, again, whatever you guys want to do, but I hesitate waiting till something's in place because we don't know when and if. Another big factor I feel would be the non-residents approaching their own city councils. So if we've introduced the idea and so they've heard about it, and then in maybe an open comment or in their communication with their own city council, then bringing it back around might have a little bit more effect. Pulling the numbers and looking at the rates that we're proposing, it's not a huge chunk from any city as far as financially. It's just, we're not asking for $100,000 from anybody.
And I think you're right. Like, what better way to get the city ready to put it in their budget in July than having their residents go to them over the next 6 months and saying, "Hey, Riverdale's willing.
Yeah,
I'm paying extra. What are you going to do about this? How can
I
you
was
help
thinking
us?"
messaging wise, you could put it out that we're working on that so they know, because they may be upset, but that they know that we're working for opportunities for them to either get it cheaper with the annual sale, or that we're going to try to work with their cities, and if they want to help.
We
Maybe we
had
could
talked about
break
putting out a
that up.
fact sheet to the non-residents that kind of outline what we have proposed to their cities and encourage them, if that's something they want, to contact their city type of situation, rather than us being the salesman. If Councilor Hanson, you mentioned this idea, which is a great idea, patterned after what we have going on with Roy. If I have the correct information, we approached Roy rather than Roy approaching us about this, and I think it works a little bit better that way. I feel that we should introduce it to them. That they should hear it from us.
Now we're open to it.
Right. And then kind of let the non-residents and the usage and the interest drive it. You might have some non-residents that, rather than go to the meeting and communicate with their council, would rather just pay the fee. I don't know, but I agree, by doing a sale and by saying, "Hey, we are open to this, working with your city on this," we're giving them opportunities to save some money. So,
Okay. Other questions, comments? Councilor Haas.
I just was thinking about, last year, my wife and I bought a family pass to the Roy Rec Center through our city program. And so I just jumped out there to see what their pricing was. And it's not double for non-residents versus residents for that. And so I was just wondering why we went for the full double.
if you look through my department, specifically with the consolidated fee schedule, you'll notice a lot of the non-resident fees are actually triple. When it comes to community center admittance and usage fee, we have a double. And that's just kind of what we've historically done. So we modeled this after that. Part of it makes the discounts and things pretty simple if we're doing a discount sale, but I don't know that it's based on any kind of facts or data, more just a practice that we've had. And you'll notice our fees consistently in our city are lower than everybody's. And so the double for the residents, the non-residents, actually comes in cheaper than them signing up as a resident in their own city. as it relates to my department with our programs and facilities and things.
I was just looking at the complex's rates too, because I was thinking about it, doing the city program, and I was surprised that it wasn't that great of a deal. It made me wonder though, because I wasn't looking at it before they did that big remodel, if they've changed fees.
They have.
And so that's what I'm guessing is made it not as equitable because of that big remodel and that they don't have the funding, so they're pushing for more funding. But I don't know for sure, but.
They did do a big fee change when they reopened, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Councilor Hawes?
One last comment. As I was looking through this, I was a little surprised because I thought that we had or when I was on the council the first time, when we built it, we actually put in rental fees for the different parts of the senior center, that they could rent the
I believe that's correct.
the big thing.
I believe
But
correct.
I don't see anything in the fee schedule now for that.
Yeah, to my understanding, and this is before my time, but I do feel like I have a decent understanding. Those rentals didn't last very long at all. They were having some issues with the rentals and damage and supervision and whatever else, and so my belief is that fee was just wiped from the fee schedule because they didn't want to offer the rentals any longer.
Okay.
So.
Okay, Councilor Richter.
Move to approve resolution 2025-34 with the fee schedule updates as stated in the packet.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Discussion here.
I know there was a little bit discussion on the beginning date.
Yeah.
I didn't address it in my proposal. Do we want to address it in the motion? That's my only.
Yeah. Councilor Richter.
Move to have that begin on January 1st,
Okay.
2026.
Second.
Second agrees. Okay, we have an amended motion. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, Ms. Maragona, will you please poll the council?
Councilor Richter,
Yes.
Councilor Hanson,
Yes.
Councilor Arnold, or Stevens,
Yes.
and Councilor Hawes.
Yes.
All right, that passes. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah. All right. Action item number 2, consideration of a resolution, resolution 2025-35, recognizing and approving the Riverdale, Utah 250 Community Committee. Ms. Maragoni.
So I wrote this up just as their suggested name on the resolution, but I was just looking at their website and it does say, however, committees are free to select a different name. So it's still designated as an official Utah 250 community, but you can call it whatever you want. And that's all I really have as far as any kind of.
Maybe give us a little background on what the committee's going to
Yeah.
do, what this is for.
So this is for, what they're trying to do is get all the different communities involved with the America 250. And then Utah is doing their own kind of offset along with it, but the Utah 250. What they're offering is, they're calling it a toolkit and some non-competitive funding. So they'll give us $1,500. It's just first come, first serve. So it's not dependent on your project or your committee or anything like that. But then they also will give you licensing to use all of their logos and their materials and stuff like that. It's $1,500. We have a couple of ideas for some things to put in conjunction with Old Glory Days, since it's also on the 4th, which is kind of a natural fit. So we would just use the $1,500 for, just to add a little bit. Huh?
As the committee sees fit.
Yeah, but yeah.
And when you say the logo, is it an America 250? I've seen an America 250. It's not a Utah 250 logo,
It's
right?
America 250 Utah.
Okay.
Utah 250 community.
There's a state branch,
Okay.
so it is a national project,
Yeah.
but the state has its own branch that's facilitating that national project.
Okay.
Most of the logos are the America. It's a lot of it's just the 250. Looks like it's made out of ribbons.
Yeah.
But it's America 250 with that, and then it has the line, and this is Utah.
Okay. Any questions from or comments from the council for Ms. Maragoni? Counselor Haas, did you have something to say?
Well, I'd rather have it be called the America 250 Riverdale, Utah Community Committee.
Okay.
I mean, I know that's getting big, but
Yeah.
looking around it at some of the other, I just did a search for America 250 Utah, and it came up, the suggestions came up with various cities
Okay.
and counties that were doing it that way. America 250 Utah, and then their city and then Utah. So
Okay. Do we have a consensus on how exactly you'd like to read? Do you want America 250 Riverdale City?
Riverdale, Utah
Riverdale,
Community
Utah.
Committee.
Okay, Riverdale, Utah Community Committee. You got that, Ms. Margolin?
America 250 Riverdale, Utah Community Committee.
Yeah, I think that's what was said. So
Acronym for that.
be careful. Like, think through it before we say. Okay. So that's a suggestion from Counselor Hawes, and we could
The other thing is, once this is passed and we've recognized a committee, we'll need to form a committee.
form the committee. Okay.
And they suggest 5 to 10 people with different kind of community people.
Let's see, recognizing and approving. Did you want to do that tonight? Approve the members or?
No,
No, just, okay.
I can do that later.
Okay.
We
So
don't
we're
need
just
a resolution for
approving the formation of the committee and the name tonight. Okay.
Will the appointments come back to the council for approval?
If you want them to.
Yeah, let's do it. I think that's appropriate.
And if you want to send me suggestions too, I can put something together.
And some of them could participate if they want, as long as there's not more than 2.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then let's have a motion and let's try to include the new name if we can.
Let me find that. Move to approve resolution number 2025-35, a resolution of the Riverdale City Council recognizing and approving the America 250 Riverdale, Utah Community Committee.
Perfect. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion?
And just so everybody knows, that is repeated throughout the resolution, so all instances will be replaced.
I'll update them.
Okay, we'll update that. Very good, thank you. All right, Ms. Maragona, any other discussion? Ms. Maragona, please poll the council.
Counselor Hawes?
Yes.
Counselor Hanson?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Richter?
Yes.
All right,
That passes unanimously. Very good. Let's move on to number 3. Let's have a discussion about adding some historic name or names to signs and roads. Mr. Douglas is not here tonight, and so we can just have at it.
Is
Actually,
there
there's,
more than one road we're talking about, or just 1500?
it just says roads.
Oh.
I mean, I had my own.
Wide open.
Yeah.
So have at it. This might be your only chance.
I know that we kind of talked about having Cami help with the 1500 idea, but I know there may be some pushback, but I'm willing to fight the fight for the Ellises. And I know it's hard because there's living Ellises that people may try to attribute that to, but I'm thinking his grandparents and maybe even their parents, who were some of the very first settlers in Riverdale, and that's always been an orchard area that was really important to the community up there. And so I would fight the fight for like Ellis Orchard Parkway or Ellis Drive if we wanted to stay similar to like Parker, Ritter, or Cherry Drive, which are all named after people that most of us never knew, but were people also. And so I'm willing to fight the fight for that one because I just think that was such an important area. And it was big for us to lose those orchards, and it was slow and kind of a natural process because of what happened with the freeways and the growth up there. And but it just was important enough that I think it's worth adding that to underneath the 1500 West sign.
And that's how we would do it, is underneath the,
Probably, yeah, just include both of
They
them.
would still go by 1500 West for
Yeah.
the mail and
yeah.
other stuff, and then we just have that visual that reminds people, I hope, about our history.
Other comments?
Well, I was just going to say that I got a lot of pushback when I was first elected back in 2004 about the name of that street, Cozy Dale. That was pretty much hated by everybody who lived up there because Cozy Dale was based on a bar up there, and they hated the fact that it got called that.
I didn't know
I
that.
mean, yeah, nobody knew that's what it was, but they did, and so I'm glad that we're not going to suggest that one.
Counselor Stevens.
Okay, I'm having purchased Tammy Ellis's book and listening to her presentations and whatnot. Sitting in the council these last number of years, we've all asked the question, where did that name come from? And somebody said, well, it was the name of a mobile home park. And then she clarified that it was the name of the stop that the train took, because when they were picking up fruit and transitioning it to, of course they didn't have trucks and they didn't have transportation. The small gauge railroad was the way that they did it. And that was the name of one of the stops. And so when you put it in that perspective and not the other more modern uses of it, it kind of gives a different perspective. And I think that's kind of cool. Just as the name of the railroad, the track that went on to base was the Bamberger? Bamberger. And again, she enlightened us that, where that name originated from, but it was a stop that the train made as it transitioned through, picking up the produce that was going to the cannery or to the markets or whatever. And some of those as historical names, I like that if it is where you know the backstory, because when you don't know the backstory, it's like
It's Ritter Drive.
Yeah, or like you said, they hate it because it was associated with something not community oriented. But it's anyway. Every name you come up with is going to have some tie-in somewhere, whether there's living descendants or not. I like the historical significance of something as a tie-in, but sometimes it gets hard to write it out. So Ellis Orchard that's a little lengthy as opposed to Ritter Drive. Is there an abbreviation
knowing
for
that you're
Orchard?
not really writing it because they're going to use 1500
Yeah, I know.
West as the real one. But no, that's a good point.
But and seeing their the UDOT presentation where they had Cozy Dale on there, I'm going, okay, that's made it a little bit of a it's in the long-term memory use. Anyway, I'm conflicted about names of people. I look in Ogden and I see the Cesar Chavez Boulevard, and I see these types of things. That gets dated real quick, unless you have some historical perspective. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Other comments?
Are we talking the entire length of 1500 that we would do it, or just from Riverdale Road to 4400 South?
Oh, I was thinking just Riverdale Road to 4400 South. I know that their farms crossed Riverdale Road before there was Riverdale Road, but I think that's all I was thinking was more that section.
Yeah, that I would be more inclined to agree with that type.
And I am very much in favor of what you're proposing, Councilor Hanson, of discussion. I have fond memories of picking cherries in those orchards when I was 14 and 15, and they were a huge part. And I never forget Gary Boatwright, who was a longtime resident of Riverdale, and he would always say we were the city that forgot our history. Mm-hmm. And it makes me sad as I drive through little towns like Salina and some of these places, and they have these kind of main streets, and we don't have anything like that. But so I love that. But then I then I think to Counselor Stevens, and I think about talking to my family. Well, let's take Ellis Orchard, or I mean, I don't know if that role. I don't know. I guess Ellis Orchard. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to think about changing your. Is that what we're going to call it? Like.
And that is long. I was mainly thinking that, picturing more of like the name sign that no one's going to use it on mailings. No one's.
Right.
I mean, there's not going to be a ton of people who call it that, because they'll remember Cozy Dale, or they'll just call it 1500. But more of like just that historical reminder and representation. And it just adds a little context, right? Like, because, and I feel bad because I have listened to Cammie tell us about Parkers and the Ritters.
Yeah.
So I should know, but I don't remember their stories. And that's why, like, I'm okay with even just Ellis Drive, to be honest. Like, thinking of, I mean, you remember Janet, it's just such a long time family that it's way more than, just those that are still here, even though they're important too. But
yeah.
So that was mainly it adds that context of, there must have been orchards here.
Yeah.
At some point.
And I do like that tie-in, whether it has something to say with the cherries, or which we already have a cherry, so.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we don't actually have action on this tonight.
I actually, after thinking about that, I don't want to not recognize the Ellises, but Orchard Drive would be a little bit easier to handle there. And eventually, I don't know if you've ever been in a place where you grew up and you start looking at Google Maps, and all the roads have different names now, that when you grew up they were all numbered, and now they have names, and as you zoom in, it's the name, and then you get close, and all of a sudden it turns into the number, and that's what that was.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be put in as like an official name, right? It would just be
Right.
more of a historical.
Just handle it locally, more than likely. Yeah.
Counselor Stevens.
Yeah, you talk about, remember, picking cherries and that being orchards. I grew up in Roy, just west of 1900, and Joe Dawson, who had an orchard. I mean, that was all orchards into Roy, and I'm old enough to remember them cutting in and building the freeway. I was young, but I remember that because that was all orchards, literally, even where the freeway is. And so, like Norma Cragen, which was a sibling to Joe Dawson, which now Ember Herrick owns that, where, and so there's some tie-ins that even though it's kind of on that border, and that was literally all orchard. And so, you can say the Ellises, but there are other names also. And I like orchard because it signifies that whole hill or that whole area, even though it doesn't look like it now, was orchards because of the way the soil was. And once they got water in there, it was perfect.
Yeah, I think it rolls off a little easier. We're going to take Orchard, we'll take Orchard over to Maverick or something. And I don't know if people will, but if they were to look up the history or why, it was Orchards, the Ellises owned it. And
they were one of them. One of several owners.
And I love the Ellises too. Like let's name it Ellis Drive, but that's slippery slope too, we start going down that.
It is. It's hard though. They were one of the last residents to hang in there at the end.
They were, and they, they probably helped facilitate the whole development up there to some degree. And
I'm a big fan of memorializing our history and keeping it down. I think that's good, as long as it doesn't delay the UDOT project.
Go.
Maybe when they get their crane, they can use it to put in the street sign.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, all right. So we can bring back an action item, I guess. Is that what we need? Or
Yeah.
need an action? Like, what do we do? Is it?
We'll bring it back as an action item. I did want to get Sean's input on this, just because he always comes up with these weird little things that put hooks in these things, and we have to beat around the bush. So, if we could have some time, we'll bring it back as an action item when we've got that all figured out.
We should do 3 or 4 more real quick while he's not here, you know.
Yeah.
Let's do them more quickly, though.
There are a few more road
Yeah,
names out there.
Yeah, just pick like 4100, just throw a random name on it. Like,
Change Riverdale Road
Church
to
Drive.
Apollones or
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a church on it, Church Drive, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right, very good. We'll move on to item number 4, discussion about the work session format. We have a whole gamut of things we could do. We could cancel the work session and just start at 6 each night. Each night for the meeting. We could start a regular meeting at 5:30. I actually am not a huge fan of that, but that's just
what?
of starting the regular meeting at 5:30. It's a little tricky to get here sometimes by 5:30. So we've talked about streaming the work session, which would be kind of a minimum bar, I think. What are your thoughts on the work session?
Do we have the option of just doing it as needed? I mean, I think most times there isn't, or is it something we want to schedule regularly?
We'd probably want to, if we're going to do it, we need to schedule that regularly because we usually post those agendas on a yearly schedule, and so we'll mark what days, just so the public has better knowledge of it. It'd be kind of, I don't know, kind of throws us off a little bit.
That's okay. I just was curious. So.
I mean, could you do it that way, like, but with when we know we have like like when you want to do the strategic planning and we can start earlier or do strategic planning earlier, so we don't have to stay late at night and be sad.
So do a strategic planning at 5:30. Is that what you're saying? I mean, we could really do that now in lieu of a pre-planning meeting.
And I was just thinking, if you decide to get rid of it or only when we need it, you could. A lot of times they'll put on the agenda like an agenda review right at the top. Just if you need to make it a shift to the agenda officially or something, if you want it to be formally
And ideally, that's what we should be doing. That's what always makes me a little bit nervous when we get in that planning meeting is sometimes we drift because we don't have an agenda like we do for the regular meeting kind of thing. So really we should either do that, exactly what you're saying, or not at all.
The reason it appeals to these guys to start it at 5:30 because it gets them out of here a half hour earlier, and I understand that. And if we cancel it, they're just going to be sitting with less to do for an hour. You know what I mean? Wait until 6.
I mean, we're fine. I thought it was kind of the desire of the council was to maybe get in here quicker so we can get out earlier, but Rich is usually just reading his stuff at about 5:30, so we're fine. Right, Rich?
He was very well prepared tonight.
He was. He did a great job.
Other thoughts, Councilor Stevens?
You know, one of the things being on the abatement committee or board member is I have gotten associations with contemporaries in other municipalities and a handful or more of people and you know we don't necessarily compare notes, but I hear them talk about how they conduct business or how they conduct and in one or two do a full hour. And I said, what do you talk about in pre-planning? Yeah. And I'm just going, that's excessive, but I like this. I like the casual nature of it. I'm not really, I mean, I can see the value of, I mean, like today, we potentially had 20 minutes between the start, you know, but it got filled in really well because we talked about things that needed to be discussed. So I'm not real, I mean, I could go without pre-planning. I mean, I didn't like moving from upstairs down to here, but I made that transition. I don't like change very well. Mm-hmm. But the point is I don't really care, but I would prefer to keep it.
Okay. Are we in agreement that we should stream it if we're going to keep it? I think we should stream it.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah. I think it kind of came up because I said something about it, but what we did with the agenda today is the type of thing that I would like to see every week. Just read through the agenda, and if there's a question, you answer. You ask the question, but not have any real discussion about anything that's on it. I mean, it's just a clarification. What is this? What does this mean, as opposed to what are we going to discuss? right? I mean, there's a difference, I think, in defining what the item is versus getting into a discussion about what the item is.
And what you're going to do.
Yeah. And so
Your opinion is-
that's the type of thing that I would like to see better, is that we just, and I don't think that it needs to be more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe we start at 5:45. I would be fine with that, because
And,
it's awkward for me when I can feel that we're going to have like 20 minutes.
And
Like, what do I do?
while Councilman Stevens says that, you know, we discussed things that needed to be discussed between the end of the planning and the beginning of our meeting, we probably didn't need to discuss any of that
Yeah,
at that point. I mean, it was nice to hear it,
yeah,
but it was not something that was needed.
Yeah.
We had time, we filled the time. And it was not in a meeting.
right.
It was information that you passed to us, but that information could very easily have just been passed to us in the meeting.
Whoa.
And I think that there are probably times when some of that more, how do you say, frank discussion about what you were discussing there, you probably are less likely to be as forthcoming with everything if you were actually in a meeting. But I think that being in a meeting is where that kind of stuff should be discussed.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were in a meeting because, yeah, let's be clear, we were still in the meeting. Like, I hadn't adjourned yet. It was my mayor's comments, but yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say we were, you know, it was just the end of the, like there's mayor's, like the comments in the work session, like, we hadn't kind of stopped the work session yet. Like, I just did that as part of my comments. We were not like,
Okay, that's not how I saw it.
Okay.
I saw that we had gotten to the end of the
okay,
agenda
yeah,
that for this meeting, and
sure,
then you said, you know, and then we said, well, we have 20 more minutes,
yeah,
and you said, well, I have a few more things that I'd like to tell you.
yeah,
I thought that was
sure. It's kind of semantics. I don't
different
know, like,
than the meeting, and would those be in minutes or would it not?
yeah, and that's fine if they're in the minutes. Like, I mean,
So-
I never intended anything to not be in the minutes. Like, but that's part of the reason we want to make sure that we're streaming, because
Right, yeah.
I mean, transparency is very, very paramount. Councilor Stevens, you were going to say something.
Yes.
God,
Now,
hopefully,
I may or may not agree with this, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second, okay? We have an agenda that we are to stick to, and we don't deviate from, okay? So do you have, like today, latitude to go off into some of these things during the meeting if it's not on the agenda? And think, okay, so again, that's a devil's advocate
Yeah.
of a scenario. So, which would be kind of appropriate in the pre-plan, but maybe where it's not on the agenda, does that make it suspect that we don't go there because it's not on the agenda item? Okay, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, the way the law reads is that we are supposed to define that with reasonable specificity. You know, again, what does a mayor's report? What's reasonable specificity, or the city administrator's report? How's it reasonably, specific on that kind of stuff? So there's always a little bit of latitude, and we have been a little bit more liberal in our planning meeting and deviating a little bit from that than we do our regular meeting. And so that's kind of what I was referring to earlier. Is we don't have a specific agenda. I mean, we do kind of follow that, but if we're going to deviate, that's generally when we do that. So
I don't know. He would probably prefer to just get rid of the comments altogether, because that's a kind
those
of
always
wild-
make me nervous.
It
But
makes him super nervous.
but you know what? In fairness, when you say that some of these cities have hour-long work meetings, when you attend those, you see why, because they're deviating all over the place, man. They're just crazy. They're kamikaze, and it's kind of scary as a city attorney to sit in that thing and think, we're going to get nailed here.
Well, can I make a comment kind of along those lines, mostly to put it out there, not because I necessarily am saying that for sure we should do it, but I'm thinking about the strategic planning stuff. A lot of times we cram those into one meeting, but I wouldn't mind personally having more of a schedule for the department heads to come to a 5:30 meeting, just to kind of give us an update on their department and how it's going, kind of a more in-depth of what they're working on, what they've got planned, what they're looking towards the future at, where we're still not making action item, but just to kind of like routinely kind of get more detail from and feedback from the department heads individually on, you know, what's going well, what's trouble, what do we need to watch out for the future, what are they maybe thinking about a CIP, even though maybe we're meeting in November, but to have Rich come in or the fire come in and say, hey, I know this is a ways away, but we've been having some issues with an ambulance. You may see that come up on the CIP. And then explaining, like, because we had that question, why do we want to switch the different kinds of ambulances? Where then they would have time to explain, how are things going? What is the difference between these two different ambulances? Why would we want to spend that much extra money? I don't know if that makes sense. More just to give them an opportunity to talk to us, too, and have that kind of back and forth, more informational, I guess, even if it's just once a year. And just for a few minutes, so it's not all the department heads, but they each get their own night to...
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. And I mean, we sort of give them an opportunity during budget season when we cover those things. And we got to remember also that the department heads fall more under the mayor than they do the council. And we try to keep you updated, but I don't have a problem doing it. I don't know if they would either if it wasn't a lot,
I didn't know if anyone else wanted that, but...
Yeah, we were looking to get you less work, not us more work over here. So
if you want to do 5:45, I'm also equally, because it is tricky for me to get here from Brigham City by 5:30. So I'm open.
Same with me. 5:45 helps me. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I think 15 minutes is fine.
Dead time, you know, we're kind of like, well, we're done.
Yeah, if we started on time and flew through that 15 minutes, we could usually wrap those
It will
up
probably
pretty
help
fast.
us stay on task as far as like, because I'm with Counselor Hawes. I want to be like, hey, what are my options on this thing? Can I make a motion? Can I table? Like, what are the options for this item? But not like, this is how I'm going to vote, or this is where my opinions lie, and all that stuff. Like, that's where we never want to go during that meeting.
Or having the staff get up and explain the entire thing.
Sure. Yeah. So it doesn't happen. Yeah.
And then when they get up, they are either rehashing
Yeah.
or they don't give as much because they have already given some.
Right.
And
Then we
I
just
agree.
say, well, we just did it in the planning meeting kind of thing.
we
So.
already know all that.
Right.
Why are you telling us the same thing again?
So if I'm getting a consensus where this is just a discussion item, because we'll need to bring it back, but I'm leaning more towards maybe starting at 5:45, but continuing it.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Neds up there, nods, so,
Streaming it. So
okay, and streaming it, okay.
Streaming it at 5:45. Yeah.
All right.
So you'll have to have like a formal motion and stuff. I mean,
I think we'd want to bring that in as a resolution, if
As a
nothing else, because
resolution,
it is kind of a change of our standard format, so.
In the bylaws.
that we have to do
Oh,
that
so we
for
will have to make an amendment there
Yeah,
too.
the actual start time is in the bylaws. too.
Oh, that's right. And we publish that too as
Yeah.
well.
Is it in the council rules too? I went
Yeah, I believe so,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what she's talking
Sorry,
about.
planning commission is bylaws.
Everybody by consensus, are we okay with that? Just kind of a consensus to bring that back? Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
We won't be doing anything until the first of the year anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
we've already published this year's.
Yeah, we would make it effective then, so
January, yeah.
we could bring it in before that, but we'll make it
So
effective
anytime.
then, so.
Okay.
Just not the second one in December, because just in case we can cancel that one.
Wait,
The second.
sorry, not the 2nd of December. Never mind.
Yeah, the second, Tuesday. Third Tuesday. Okay. All right. We went through the upcoming events, so we're not going to rehash that. We move on to the comments section. City council comments for this meeting. Anything? Comments from the city staff for this meeting.
The only thing I'd say quickly is we did include with your packet this week was there was 2 financial reports in there. If there's something you want in addition to that or something different, make sure you let me or Cody know. We'll get you more. Plenty of reading material there at nights when you're trying to sleep, Mike.
I did appreciate that financial.
Yeah, we got the
stuff,
2030 meeting coming up. It'd be great to get the end of the quarter on there. So that through September. That would be fantastic. I know it's only one more month, but it squares it up a little bit.
Okay.
Anything else from city staff?
No, that's all I had, Mayor.
I had one other thing I forgot to mention. Ms. Maragoni was going to start trying to put together a date for a council Christmas dinner. So hopefully she'll be sending out like a poll, or you're going to send something out to see when we can maybe go do that. I know I don't know, it might seem weird for some of you or something, but it's something I really enjoy, going out to just a social activity with you and sitting around and kind of talking. I think it's kind of fun. So hopefully you'll be able to make that. And I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where we're going to go. Somewhere in Riverdale. But we want to have a little bit of privacy, and hopefully we have a good time. So watch your email for that. With that, we would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Yeah, there you go. There's no